I am Andrea Butcher, and this is Being at Work. Being a leader is hard. So on this show, I set out to talk with experienced leaders to learn from their pivotal moments, how they led through the challenges we can all relate to but are often unheard. You never know where your path is going to lead. That's one of the key themes from today's episode. I sat down with Melissa Davis and am so grateful for the message in her story. Melissa is the president of BSA LifeStructures, an interdisciplinary design firm creating inspired solutions that improve lives through architecture, engineering, interior design, and planning services. As you'll hear in her story, Melissa loves her work. She's passionate about the impact that BSA is having. She became president much to her surprise in 2016, and she highlights important lessons learned as she reflects on the journey that got her there. I can see how it's all connected and part of her experience. You want to check this out.
I came to work at BSA LifeStructures in 1996 as an interior designer that worked a lot in healthcare design, laboratory design, and higher ed areas, which are the areas of focus for BSA. I loved what I do. The areas that we focus on and what drew me to BSA was the design that we do truly impacts people. If you're designing healthcare design, I know a lot of people used to think that, healthcare is not glamorous. And I know when I was in college that I used to think I wanted to design nightclubs and restaurants and cruise ships and fun things. But I decided, that I got exposed to healthcare design and that I really found my passion there because of the impact that it has on people, especially at times of need. If you really think about it, unless you're going for a well visit or delivering a healthy baby, if you're dealing with a hospital or a healthcare situation, it's probably stressful and not necessarily a happy time. Research is so incredibly important to me as well because the difference that we're making, the laboratories that we design and what the researchers are doing and the impact that it has on the world is just incredibly gratifying.
Wow. So it sounds like you clearly feel like what you're doing is valuable, making a big impact.
Yes.
It's funny that you initially wanted to design nightclubs. Maybe not the impact of healthcare design that you're having today.
Correct.
So you've had such a rich career, and no doubt, Melissa, have lots of stories, but I know that there's something in particular that is a lesson learned to you as you look back to your career. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So as I mentioned, I joined BSA in 1996, and I worked as an interior designer for 15 years. And I left for a brief period of time to spend some time with family, an ill family member, and needed help take care of. And so when I came back to BSA, I came back in the role of the director of interiors for the firm. And at that point in time, we had 3 offices. We now have 6 offices, and we grew to that in that period of time when I was director of interiors. When I came back, we were left without an interiors department leader and basically an interiors department. And we were an existing firm without an interiors group. So when I came back, basically had to start the group from scratch and start it over again. And we had 2 other people that were here besides me that had been part of the previous interiors group. And the 3 of us together built the group back up again, hired more amazing people, and grew the group to about 23 across all 6 offices. Well, I guess I did something right in doing that because it got the attention of the chairman of the company. And our company is a little bit unusual in that we rotate every 4 to 8 years. It's kind of an unwritten rule that we evolve our leadership. So the past president and 2 past presidents before him are also all still here at BSA.
Oh, wow.
2 were architects and 1 was an engineer. So the one that was just before me was in his 8th year. And so the chairman felt that it was time to bring in new blood, so to speak. And they always look at how the company evolves over time. And the leadership before me was a little bit less an incredibly smart, wonderful person, but not much of a people person. And we were kind of lacking a little bit in the culture area. So the chairman felt very strongly that we bring in maybe somebody that had a little bit more of the people skill and really focus a lot on the culture of our firm. And he approached me and asked me what I would think about being the president of the company. So I went from being, an interior designer to being the director for the firm nationally to being the president of the firm nationally, and had absolutely no idea, no aspirations that would ever happen in my life. So
When was that? What year was that?
that was in 2016.
2016. And how long had you been back? Because you said you took some time off, came back as director of interiors, and then grew the group.
I had been back for 5 years.
5 years. Okay.
Yes. So it was quite a surprise. It was very flattering to think that someone saw something in me that that didn't occur to me on my own. And I remember having the conversation, and my response was, after we had a lengthy conversation, was, well, I'm intrigued enough to not say no. So let me think about it. So I went back, and of course it was a secret. I couldn't tell anyone. And I came back, and as I was thinking about what I wanted to do, it seemed almost as if every single day something happened that made me feel like this was what I should be doing. Something would happen with a coworker or a situation, and I remember thinking, if I were president, I could fix that, or I could help with that, or I could make a difference with that, and which would make us better. And so I literally almost every day something was making it glaringly obvious that this was what I was supposed to do. And so I thought about it for probably about 6 weeks before I gave an answer. And then I was actually put in the role about 5 months after that. It was after board elections and starting off the new board with making the change.
So you had no idea. You said you were so surprised.
Yes, I about fell off of my bar stool, literally got faint and started shaking. And I mean, it just completely came out of the blue, and never in a million years did I think anything like this would happen for me in my career.
So in addition to surprise, how else were you feeling?
Scared. That 6-week period of time that I thought about it, I had a lot of questions. And, so one of the things that, and getting back to, the lesson learned that I was thinking of, not having aspired for this and preparing for this role, I didn't do a lot of things along the way that I wish I would have. One of the things that scared me a lot was, the people before me, and we are an architectural firm, and, we have contracts and legal documents that go along with our documents that we put out for design. And architects are very well versed in, contract writing and what the contracts are, what they include, and obligations of the firm and things like that. As an interior designer, we have parts of that apply to us, but interior design is incorporated under the architect's contract document. So, I never really had to worry about the legalities of a contract as an interior designer, because I always had, the architect or the other people in the group that were writing it and in charge of the contract. And so that side of it really scared me because I had not ever done that before. And I think the other thing was, not preparing myself from a networking standpoint. I had been involved in some interior design organizations and a few community organizations throughout my career and throughout my life, but I had not made that a high priority as far as helping advance my career and my network base. And, that is a huge thing, when you're doing, business development and you're looked at as, a leader of the largest architectural design firm in the state of Indiana. People look at you, you get included in a lot of events and opportunities. And I didn't know very many people. I know that there are a lot of people, here at BSA and people that I know out in the community that early in their career looked for leadership development opportunities. Stanley K. Lacey is one here in Indianapolis that's a coveted program that many of my friends have gone through. Never in a million years did it occur to me to try to get into the Stanley K. Lacey Leadership Development Program.
What were you aspiring for?
I'm kind of a simple person. I love doing my interior design. I love making my clients happy and doing everything that I can for my clients and my coworkers, my team, as we're designing projects for our clients. There's nothing that gave me more satisfaction than, going to a ribbon cutting or an open house for one of our completed projects and watching people start utilizing their new space and working in the environment that we helped create with them. And now they're living and working in this space and seeing the things that come from those spaces that we've designed. It's just has a huge impact. And, I just wanted to be an incredible interior designer and have incredible relationships, trust from my clients. I wanted to have respect from the design industry and the design community that I was, an excellent designer, but I never thought beyond that.
Well, but it sounds like that is what led you to the role. You said that the chairman noticed the great work that you were doing. So by focusing on being the best you can be where you are, that ultimately led to where you are today.
I think so. And I think, the fact that, when I came to BSA, I was a single parent, very green. And they were such an amazing family. They greeted me with open arms. They taught me, I was promoted to ownership of the firm. So from the very beginning, I felt very much a part of an amazing family. And that, frankly, is why I wanted to come back to work for BSA, because they are just such an amazing organization. So building the interiors group for BSA was something that I wanted to do. And it was very important to come back. I knew the company was amazing, so I wanted to build it and help the company by growing this group again.
So I have to ask about then the leaving and then coming back. So you told us earlier that you left for a bit, and then it sounds like you came back with gusto. You came back as the director of interiors and grew the group to 23 across 3 offices. So I'm curious what you were doing in the time off and how that prepared you to come back.
I left for a period of time, and I left for 6 years, actually. And during that time, I did continue to work on contract with BSA. But I was helping my elderly mother with my father who had cancer. And I also had children, 4 children in junior high, early high school ages, and just kind of felt like I needed to be present for them. But I didn't want to give up my career. So I did do contract work with BSA and some other firms as well, and just, worked independently. That to me is something, is a message as well. It's to, never be afraid to do what works for you at whatever point you are in your life, because you can. I know a lot of people say, they're afraid to step away because they feel like they can never re-enter back in. But if you don't stop completely your craft and you stay current, in my opinion, well, I'm an example of the fact that you can come back in after doing what you needed to do for your family and your personal life, to come back in to even bigger and better things. And
Yeah.
I didn't come back as just a designer. It was, coming back leading the group, and we did grow from the 3 offices to 6 offices. So and we have interiors in every single office. So that was, and the way we worked together and the way we grew the group was a whole department effort. It wasn't me. It was, I guess you could say I was the chairman of the committee. The group was amazing, and I tease with them now. I say, look, the reason that I'm in this role is all your fault, because you guys made me look really, really good. But the lesson learned about the whole thing, and that I can't stress enough, is getting involved and building your network, going through these programs and things with, you build relationships, and they may be people that aren't even affiliated with your profession, but it is amazing what a small world it is out there. And by having that network and being involved and recognized as someone that is willing to be selfless and give to your community, that is the one regret that I wish I would have done, and started preparing myself for whatever might happen in my future. And I did not do that well enough. So that is something that I pretty much preach to the younger staff within our firm, and young people everywhere, my children's friends and everybody. I am constantly telling them, that you need to do these things now, because it will pay dividends in the end, wherever your path takes you.
Yeah, wherever your path takes you, because as you said, like you never know.
No.
Just like you, so surprised at what people are seeing in you and the opportunities that can come when you're doing great work.
And I guess that's the message, is that, if I kind of put it onto my parents. I had an amazing family, amazing upbringing. They taught me to work hard, to, no job is worth doing if it's not worth doing right. So that kind of bred the perfectionist in me. And, to just have, good work ethic, honest and hardworking. And, that to me is what I've done, and what has led to a wonderful career of great relationships with clients and great opportunities like the one I'm in right now.
Absolutely. Well, and when I look at your skill set and your network today, I mean, you clearly, upon becoming the president of BSA, you did what you needed to do to be successful in that role. I mean, you are very well networked today, very well connected, always such a learner at heart, always open to new learning. What did you do specifically, Melissa, when you were named president to fill those gaps that you felt existed?
The past chairman, the gentleman, Donna Altmeyer, was the chairman of the board when I came to BSA. And he was the epitome of being involved in the community. As soon as it was announced, I got an email from him, and he said, "Congratulations, I will help you get connected." And I said, "Okay, let me get my legs under me here real quick, and then I'd love to get started." And so it took, I don't know, a couple months maybe for me to kind of get into my role. And I reached out and I said, "Okay, I'm ready." And I met with him. He kind of pointed me in a few directions of things. He really wanted to get me involved in YPO, but then he asked me how old I was, and I was too old to be in YPO. ago. So,
That's a
but I was
compliment.
flattered that he thought that I was young enough. But he literally made a couple of introductions, and then those introductions, it just literally is a domino effect. And Bill Neal is retired now, but was one of the partners with Krieg DeVault. And he and Don Altmeyer were very good friends. And he introduced me to Bill. And Bill literally took me under his wing. And he was thinking of people that might be good for me to meet. Made an introduction to a few people with the Indy Chamber and a few others, and just it is absolutely amazing. And I feel very fortunate in this particular community of Indianapolis. It seems that everyone, and I hope it's this way for everyone out there, but this community is incredibly giving and helpful, and everyone wants to help you. And it is absolutely amazing to me how much I have learned from other people and how willing they are to help. Everyone has been like, how can I help you? And they make introductions. And it's really fun when you go to an event that you went to the year before and you knew absolutely no one but the people from your own firm. And then after a year of being out there and networking and, stepping outside your comfort zone big time, because that was not something I had done a lot of, and just literally learning how to walk up and stick your hand out and shake someone's hand and introduce yourself. We're all in the same boat. Everybody's, trying to do it. And so it's amazing how receptive people are. And then when you go the following year to the same event that you went to the year before, and you literally walk in and you're talking to people and most of the people there, that is a really, really good feeling.
Yeah, you can see the fruits of your labor
yes.
come to life.
Yes, and you have an apples to apples comparison of what it was before, and you can measure, how much you've achieved in this past year by comparing the same, at the same event. Also, utilizing our business development people, utilizing people in the community that are very well connected, and sticking by them, watching how they do it, and just simply getting out there and representing the firm.
Well, and you love the work so much. So I think people love what other people are passionate about. So it's much easier to connect when you really loving what you're doing and seeing the impact that you're having.
Yes, I could not agree more.
What a great story, Melissa. Thank you so much for sharing. There are multiple takeaways. The three biggest that really jump out to me are first of all, do work that you love and be the best that you can be at that. Like that's what you were doing in that director of interiors role. Like we could hear in the story just how passionate you were about that. And so not surprisingly, growth happened and you were collaborating with other people in doing that. That got noticed and led you to the position you are today. The second thing is I so admire the courage it took to step away and focus on what's most important to you, to focus on your family. The quote you used, you said, never be afraid to do what works for you. How important that is, and how important that is in your journey, that in some way that was part of getting you into the role you're in today. And then, of course, the third thing, as you said, lay the groundwork for whatever may lie ahead, because you never know. And, in your case, you were so surprised. You hadn't anticipated that.
Well, thank you.
Melissa, if our listeners want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Probably LinkedIn would be the best way.
Thank you so much for being here, Melissa. Thank you for sharing your story.
Well, thank you so much. It was an honor.
Thank you for joining us for this episode. Please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast to never miss a Being at Work story.